Hey, what's up everyone? Tim here from Everyday Tactical Vids. Today we're looking at the M2R Warrior Pro, and this is coming to us from Olight. In the past, I have looked at the M2T and the original M2R, which is a rechargeable light, very similar to this one. There are some differences between the M2Rs and the M2T, and we'll talk through that in a minute. This light's going to give you up to 1800 lumens and some kind of unique features here that it has basically a triple drop down is what I'm calling it. So from 1800 down to 750 down to 250 at that turbo setting. This light is also very compatible with a weapon, so if you want to mount this onto a weapons platform, I'll show you what it looks like to actually put the hardware on this, and then how the pressure switch works as well. So up top there you have one of the original M2R Warriors. This is a limited edition, that's a copper one. I actually won that from Olight when I was out at SHOT Show 2019, I believe it was. So let me just do a quick comparison between the two. So for the M2R Warrior on the top, which that's unique because it's copper, but that's kind of like this. It's going to have the standard features of the original M2R Warrior. You're going to have lumen output of 1, 15, then 60, then 250, then 700, and then turbo, which is 1000, and will drop down to 700, and then another turbo, which is 1500, and drop down to 700. With the M2R Warrior Pro, it's going to go 1, 15, 60, and then it's going to go at high, 750 down to 250, and then at turbo, it's going to go 1800 down to 750. So obviously some difference in the outputs there. I would also, you can probably tell just by looking at this, has a much more aggressive bezel than the original Warrior does. Other than that, very similar. Your pocket clips, the overall build and look, I would say it's pretty much one-to-one. Some of the internal features are a little bit different here. So here's the rundown as far as lumen outputs and burn time. So you have 1 lumen for 50 days. You have 60 lumens for 40 hours. You have 250 lumens for 10 hours. Then you have the high at 750 lumens. That's going to go for 160 minutes. And then it's going to drop down to 250 lumens for 40 minutes. And then the turbo is going to go 1800 for 4.5 minutes, drop down to 750 for 145 minutes, and then drop down to 250 for 45 minutes. So it's you're getting more burn time at those higher outputs, which is something I've been talking about for a while with OLED. I just want to see more burn time at the highest settings. As is standard for a lot of Olight flashlights, is IPX8 rated, so good down to 2 meters, and drop resistant to 1.5 meters. Now this thing definitely does have some heft. It's 6.31 ounces, which is 179 grams. That is including the battery, which is a 21700 battery. So sometimes they include this information without the weight of the battery included, which is pointless because no one uses it without a battery. So I'm glad they did that. As far as your size, it's 5.37 inches by 1.16 inches, which is 136.5 millimeters by 29.5 millimeters. Quick look at the battery here. So just going to open up the tail cap. And 21700 is definitely different than a 18650. So that's what that looks like. Let me just put this down here. See if it'll, yeah, just put it like this for now. And I'm going to get the, here, let's take the copper one here. We've got the M2T, and I'll show you that in a minute. But there's your 18650. So see if you can tell. Yeah, I mean, obviously this one's chunkier, lengthwise, a little bit longer. This is 3.6 volts at 5,000 milliamps. This is 3.6 volts at 3,500 milliamps. So definitely a difference between these two. Bigger, heftier, it's going to add more weight to the light, but also give you more burn time as well. Here's a quick look at the M2T versus the M2R. And I mean, size-wise, you can see that the M2T is a little bit shorter. We have the metal pressure switch at the end versus the rubberized pressure switch. This one is rechargeable directly by attaching your charging port to the end, and I'll show you that in a minute. This one does not have the charging option here. And you can see when you open this one up, this one actually takes two CR123s, and this is a non-rechargeable version. This is the one I got from Olight. This will, however, take the 18650 in it, so you can run it off to CR123s or the 18650. And that's what that looks like. So that's the M2T. Rubberized end switch or the metal end switch is the main difference, just as far as your activation points. All right, so with the M2R Pro, you are going to get the recharging cable, which here's your end. It's magnetically going to attach, and then you're going to basically plug your USB into either a plug and then into a wall, or directly into a wall if you have those setups, or obviously into your computer as well. You do also get a sheath like this. You do get a lanyard. I never use the lanyard, so but you do get a lanyard too. These sheaths look pretty rugged, a little bit different in that it's not just a Velcro hook and loop over the top there, you know, that you pull off. You got this little button here. Pretty solid snap on the back. You can run it through a belt directly like so, if you have your belt off, want to run it through, or obviously you can attach it to a pack or attach it to a belt that way, and then press this right here, and that's going to open that up. Yeah, again, pretty solid sheath. It's not spectacular, but I think it's nicer than some of the other sheaths that they give you with the flashlights. So here's your light, and then you have this magnetic end for your pressure switch. You can see there's like a little nub there, a little kind of divot in the middle, and then you have this little nub. Got to make sure those are lined up. If they're not, you won't be able to activate it. You're going to mount this on your Picatinny rail, and then squeeze it to activate the light. Like so. You can double click it, and it's not going to do anything. So it's just, you know, on and off, on and off. That's what it's built to do. I'm holding it on. Now it's off. Double clicking, triple clicking, whatever, just on and off. So that's how it works. Just as a heads up, because you do actually have a strobe feature, which I'll show you right now. So strobe warning, triple clicking this side button. So that strobe feature is not going to be able to be activated when you're using the pressure switch like this. But again, that's probably not something that you're interested in on a as far as the weapons mount option for this light. Let's talk through operation here as far as the side switch. So you press it, it's going to come on, hold it down. It's going to cycle through 4 settings. So go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now it's off. If I hold it down, it comes on at the moonlight setting. So let's call that like 0. So 0, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's going to go back to 1. It won't go all the way down to moonlight. So just a heads up with that. Now if I double click it, it's going to go up to the turbo setting. And then if I triple click, it'll give you strobe. So here comes the strobe again. There's strobe, tap it, and it's going to go off. Now you also have the tail switch here. So the factory setting is going to give you 2 different outputs. You can basically press it lightly, and then you can press it really hard, and it's going to go turbo. So you're going to get a medium when you press it lightly, and then when you press it full on, it's going to go to turbo. So here's lightly, and then up to turbo, lightly, and then up to turbo. So as far as output, you're looking 250, and then up to the 1800, 250, 1800, and it's a little bit hard to see on the camera, but you'll see it at night that it definitely, there's an obvious difference between those two. Now that's setting 1, that's your factory configuration. If you want it to go to setting 2, which is going to be half press for turbo, and then when you fully press it in, it's going to go into your strobe mode. If you want to switch between those two, you're going to hard press, fully depress the end pressure switch, and then you're going to, while you're holding that, press the side switch and then let go of the end pressure switch. So fully depressed, side switch, let go. And now it's going to give you that setting 2, which is light press to turbo, and then full press to strobe. So turbo, strobe, turbo, strobe. And again, if you want to change it back, end press, press the side, release, and now it's going to go to medium, high, or medium, turbo, medium, turbo. They also gave me this, which is your attachment hardware to attach the light to this, and then this to your Picatinny rail. So let me show you what that looks like real quick as far as just attaching these two. All right, so you do have to take off the pocket clip just because it's gonna mess up the attachment process. But once you get it hooked up, so there's your mounting system. This is gonna go on your 1911 rail, and then your pressure switch here to turn the light on and off. The way I found it easiest is take off the end cap. You gotta loosen this guy up here, press this down, slide your light in, and then put the end cap back on. But that's what it looks like when it's set up on your weapons mount system. And that's what it looks like again to activate the light. So comparing an original M2R with M2T, I prefer the M2T. I've had a chance to use this one a bit more. I haven't had a chance to use this Pro as much because I just got it recently, but just want to show you the weight as far as the difference here. So 5.305 ounces, and this one with the battery, 6.35. So yeah, I mean, you're talking a little bit of difference as far as how it feels. This one feels chunkier because you've got a bigger battery in there, but you know, in hand, it doesn't feel like, wow, this one's huge and the M2T is really small. I mean, they're both definitely, I would call them medium-sized EDC, and for probably some people for a large-size EDC, but they're not a tiny little light to, you know, carry as an EDC light. But I don't, like I said this a million times, I don't mind the size. It's really about the function for me. All right, let's show some nighttime footage of the light. Alright guys, I'm outside here at night wrapping up the video on the M2R Warrior Pro, and some thoughts on it. I do prefer an end pressure switch. I wish it was rubberized like the M2T, but it is metal so that you have that attachment point for your pressure switch that you're going to use for if you're going to use it as a weapons mounted light. So I can understand why they would do that. I do find it a little bit funky when you squeeze that end pressure switch like light and then fully depress it to turn it on. You gotta get used to kind of pressing it in the right way in order to get it to click in and stay on at that highest output. Now that said, I do like just that nice hot center, that nice hot spotlight that it gives. I also like the 21700. I prefer an 18650 in general for batteries, but this one doesn't feel like it's oversized when I'm carrying it as an EDC light, and yeah, it just gives a really nice, it just throws a beam really nicely, and it definitely punches out into the night, so that's definitely a win. A nice deep pocket clip. I do like a slightly more aggressive bezel like this one. Just a heads up where it sits in your pocket. You got to be careful if you're like putting your hand in your pocket or even just by your side. You can definitely scrape your hand up because it is quite sharp. So I mean, yeah, I think the biggest win for this is that if you want to have a light you can EDC in a bag, in a pocket, whatever, and then also a light you can put on a weapon, I think this is going to be a good option for you to go with. If you're just going to go with a EDC light, I do like the end pressure switch that's rubberized on the M2T. Maybe they'll make an M2T Pro Warrior version, so we'll see if something like that comes out. But if you don't mind the metallic end pressure switch, I do think overall the function and the overall fit and fit and finish, the build overall on this has been quite good. I've dropped it a little bit, beat it up a little bit, and it's still working just fine. Obviously you can see the light it's putting out right now. So yeah, I really think ultimately this is for the person who wants the ability to diversify between an EDC / bag light and a light that they can mount on a weapon. This gives you both those options really nicely. So let's hear your thoughts. You've seen the video, you've seen some footage. Let's have the discussion. Get started down in the comment section down below. Alright guys, thanks as always for checking out the videos. Please subscribe to Everyday Tactical Vids if you haven't done so already. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, check us out on Instagram, Tumblr, and Vero as well. More videos coming soon. Take care.